Well, good day, folks. So it's knife and story time because I've got a knife today that comes with a little story. And it's not an elaborate story or anything, but it's a story to go along with the knife. So every knife eventually will have a story. The story of this knife is I took a trip out of town to a Canadian Tire in a larger community. Not just the Canadian Tire. There's a Bass Pro. There was a few other shops I wanted to check out, but I wanted to hit the Canadian Tires and see if any of the bigger ones still had anything interesting on sale. Well, this one had something very interesting on sale, and it was $110, and it was in the display for, I believe, $44.95, something like that, which is a pretty good deal on a $110. But it was in rough shape, and turns out it was the display model, and it was the only one they had left, and they were trying to move it. Apparently, the store had changed owners, and there was a whole kerfuffle with the inventory. Because I spent a lot of time talking with two of the sales floor people because I had an interest in the knife. I wanted to kind of rescue it from its captivity. So I asked, "Do you have the box and the sheath?" And they said, "Yeah." And they looked in the back of the display cabinet, it wasn't there. And they thought, "Oh, I think we moved it over here." So they went and they looked over there and couldn't find it. Well, maybe it's in the back. So they went in the back and looked and couldn't find it. And then they looked in all the other places all over again. And then somebody else who came along and had a look, and they couldn't find it. So I said to the fella, I said, "How old is that knife?" And he said that it is, about 2 years old. I said, "Wow, that's in pretty rough looking shape for 2 years old. Can I have a look at it?" And he handed it to me, and I opened it up, and I looked at the symbol on the tank stamp, and I referenced my chart, and the symbol was from 2011. So this poor knife had been in that display cabinet and kicked around the store since 2011. No wonder they couldn't find the box or the sheath. So I hummed and I hawed, and I said, "You know what? It's going to cost me probably near that much again to buy the sheath if I order one or get one made. Can we come down a little bit?" So they talked to the store owner and the new store owner, and she said, "Well, that's what I paid for it, and I don't want to lose a bunch of money, so I'll knock $2 off of it." And I said, "You know what? That just doesn't strike me as a very good deal." So I walked. Well, I hummed and hawed for a few days, and finally I decided to myself, no, I got to go rescue that knife. I gotta free it from its captivity. It's been in there since 2011, and it's showing its worst for wear. So I went and I grabbed it today. And one of the people that was helping me previously was still there. And I said, "I got to come. I got to rescue it." She said, "That's good," she said. And as we walked up to the counter, she said, "You know what? I'm going to knock $5 off the price. We'll call it damaged and missing parts." I said, "I'm good with that." So here it is. You can see the bolsters are very tarnished. The pins are starting to show through. And I haven't had my hands on a $110 probably a couple decades. So I don't remember what a standard $110 should be like. I know these pins are going to be proud because they're rounded, but I think the covers may have shrunk some because there's a few of the pins I can actually get a fingernail underneath of. So the covers may have shrunk some, but the stepping's not too bad at the bolsters, so maybe not. The back spring is flush here, but if you can see, it's rose up here. Now, maybe that's normal for a $110. Like I say, I know a few fellas in this community that can tell me. But beautiful looking handle still. The Those handles just looks awesome. It's got the odd nick to scratch on it. I'm sure over the years being handled and knocked around, it's probably been in the display case, out of the display case, handed to 1,000,001 people, and dropped on the floor a few times, chucked in a storage drawer, hence the box and the sheath and the knife all parting ways. But it's got a few nicks and rough edges. So we open it up. You see there was some tape there once upon a time. There's a few random chunks out of the blade. Nothing that can't be fixed. And if we look here, we can see Buck 110 USA and the symbol. And if we reference our chart right here, and we go way, way back, right there, it's 2011. So this poor knife's been on captive display for 13 years, something like that. Math's not my thing. But, so we are going to make an effort to bring this old fella back to life. I'll probably start with a mineral oil soak just to see, because, I mean, the knife hasn't been regularly handled in all that time. It's not getting any oil from somebody's hands. So I suspect the covers have dried out a bit, but there's a sheen to them. It's almost like there's a glaze over them. So I don't know if it will absorb any mineral oil, but we'll try and give it a soak. Anybody who thinks better of that, certainly jump in and let me know in the comments. And then once that's done, we will get to work on these bolsters. I should be able to definitely bring the shine back. And then from there, maybe get it to the point that I can hide the pins again. The nicks like that, I may touch them with a little bit of sandpaper just to try and take some of the roughness out of them, but I'm not going to go crazy with that. And then get all the sticky off the blade and clean it up. Tune up the edge. Get rid of those chunks that are out of the blade. And bring this guy back to as close to new as I possibly can. So look forward to that in the coming days. And hopefully I'm successful. And if anyone has any commentary they want to throw at me as what they think should or should not be done, or approaches they think are best, then certainly fire those down in the comments. But I want to do the best job I can, bring this old timer back to life, because it was held captive too long. It needs to be free. So anyway, folks, so that is my next project. Not that I don't have enough on the go already. And if you'll bear with me 1 second. Maybe it's some of that fate stuff or whatever, but if you watch my belated Thankful Thursday video, Dave sent me a slip. I have a knife without a sheath. Would you look at that? That looks like a pretty good fit. And I commented on Harold's video, HTEDC, when he was showing off some of Ed's work, and he showed that beautiful pouch for a buck 110, 112 that Ed had made. I said to him in my comment, I may have to talk to that gentleman, because I might have a need for one of his slips. Well, I may still have to talk to him, but in the meantime, Dave provided it a happy home at just the perfect time, because I landed home with this knife to find Dave's package waiting for me. So Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed that, and stay tuned. Over the next few days, we'll come back with you, hopefully with a much shinier, happier looking knife. Y'all take care.